You know how it is in the world of crypto. It's usually the loudest projects, the ones with all the hype that grab the headlines. But what about the ones that have just been quietly building in the background for years? Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain on one of those silent builders, a project called ArcBlock.
We've all seen them, right? In this absolutely chaotic space, there are some teams that just put their heads down and build. They're not chasing the next viral trend. They're not spending a fortune on marketing. They're just focused on creating something with real foundational value. And ArcBlock, they're definitely one of those projects.
So that brings us to the real question here. Is ArcBlock some kind of hidden gem, a fundamental piece of the puzzle for Web3's future? Or is it just a relic, a forgotten project from a previous crypto cycle? Let's dig in and figure it out.
All right, first things first. We need to get a really clear picture of what ArcBlock actually is, because I'll tell you right now, it's not what you probably think it is.
So to really get it, let's start with what it isn't. It's not an exchange where you go to trade. It's not some consumer app you download on your phone. And it's not another layer 1 blockchain trying to be the next big thing for everyday users. Nope, its focus is somewhere else entirely.
At its heart, ArcBlock is a platform built for a very specific audience. Developers. Yeah, the coders, the builders. The entire point of ArcBlock is to make their lives easier. See, building in Web3 from scratch is incredibly slow and complicated, so ArcBlock gives them the tools to create dApps and other services way more efficiently.
And what makes their approach so interesting is how it bundles a bunch of critical Web3 pieces into one cohesive system. We're talking about decentralized identity. Think of that like a digital passport that you control, not some big corporation. Then you have the core blockchain infrastructure, a whole suite of developer tools, and a library of reusable components. It's basically designed to be an all-in-one workshop for anyone trying to build in Web3.
Okay, now let's get to the real magic behind ArcBlock. This is the core idea that makes their whole system tick. They have this concept called a blocklet.
So what are blocklets? Well, think of them as pre-built, ready-to-use pieces of software. Instead of a developer having to write every single line of code from scratch for things like, say, user logins or data storage, they can just grab a blocklet that already does the job.
Honestly, the best way to think about it is like they're digital Lego pieces. It's the perfect analogy. If you're building a spaceship out of Legos, you don't start by inventing plastic, right? You just grab the pre-made bricks. Blocklets are those bricks for Web3 apps. Developers can just pick the pieces they need, snap them together, and build something new and amazing. And the payoff for this approach is pretty huge and pretty obvious. First, it makes development time way, way faster. Second, it lowers the barrier to entry. You don't have to be a genius-level coder to build something cool. And ultimately, the big goal here is to make building in Web3 so much more accessible, hopefully getting a flood of new developers into the space.
So how does this whole ecosystem get powered? Well, that's where their native token, ABT, comes in. It's the utility token you use to pay for services on the platform, like using certain developer tools or deploying an application. What's really interesting here is that it has a fixed supply. It's not inflationary. That tells you it's designed to be a stable utility token for a working economy, not some speculative asset meant to go to the moon.
Now, we need to talk about ArcBlock's history, because this isn't some project that just popped up yesterday. They've been around the block, and that long history, well, it's kind of a double-edged sword.
On the one hand, its age is a massive plus. The team is deeply experienced, the product is mature and battle-tested, and the core tech is already built. That's huge. But then there's the other side. It doesn't get the same kind of market hype as newer projects. Its growth might look slower, and it doesn't have that shiny, new thing narrative that the market absolutely loves to chase. It's more like serious, boring, but essential infrastructure.
So what are people actually doing with this mature technology today? Well, the original stuff, like building dApps and managing digital identity, that's still the core. But what's really interesting is how they've started leaning into the whole AI narrative. They're creating tools to help developers connect AI models to the blockchain and to build something called intelligent agents. Just think of those as autonomous little programs that can run on the network, making their own decisions and getting stuff done.
This all sounds great, but it brings us to the competition, because trying to build the foundational infrastructure for Web3, it is not for the faint of heart. It is an absolute gauntlet.
I mean, if you just look at the direct crypto competition, the field is packed. You've got other Web3 development platforms, you've got the entire massive tooling ecosystem around giants like Ethereum, and now you have this whole new wave of projects jumping on the AI and Web3 train.
But here's the twist, and this might be the most important point of all.
ArcBlock's biggest competition isn't another crypto project. It's competing against how ridiculously easy, fast, and familiar it is for developers to just build things the old way, the traditional Web2 way. That right there is the real mountain that every single Web3 infrastructure project has to climb.
And let's be totally honest here. The risks are significant. The project itself is technically complex, which can make it hard for people to really wrap their heads around. It doesn't have a simple, catchy narrative. And maybe the biggest issue is that it's really, really hard to tell just how many developers are actually using it right now.
And that leads us to the most crucial point. When you're talking about infrastructure, the best, most advanced technology, it doesn't automatically win. In fact, history shows us it usually loses. The only thing that matters in the long run is adoption. The platform that everybody uses is the platform that wins, period.
So this whole thing really boils down to a classic dilemma in crypto, right? It's that constant battle between short-term hype and long-term utility. And ArcBlock has clearly chosen its side. They're betting everything on utility.
And that leaves us with one final thought. When you look at the future of this whole industry, where do you think the real lasting value is going to come from? Is it going to be from the projects making all the noise, the ones riding the latest wave of hype? Or will it be quietly forged by these silent infrastructure projects, the ones patiently laying the foundation in the background, piece by digital Lego piece? The answer to that question might just tell you everything you need to know about a project like ArcBlock.